Commuters cannot afford very high fare taxes, and levies on fuel are excessive. Now they are demanding lower fuel prices, reduction of fuel taxes, government intervention, review of Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority. This is EPRA. Now, long-term solutions to high transport costs. Areas and roads affected by today's demonstrations, where several parts of the country experienced transport disruptions and delays and partial shutdowns. Now, one of them is Nairobi. Affected areas include CBD, Muyoko Road, Thika Road, and there is also Mombasa Road and Waiyakiwe. We're also looking at Ngong Road, Outer Ring Road, Kangundo Road, Jogo Road, Githurai, Kayole, Donom, Eastlands routes. Many matatus were parked at bus stations, petrol stations, terminal. Commuters were stranded during, or are also stranded right now during morning hours. Mombasa is also affected, and we're looking at Mwembe Tayari, Likoni route. We are looking at also Bamburi, Kisauni, Mombasa Malindi Highway, Mombasa Nairobi Highway. We're also looking at transport delays. We are also reported in both public service vehicles and goods transport. Other towns reporting disruptions are Kisumu, Nakuru, Eldoret, Thika. We're also looking at Kiambu, Machakos, Kakamega, and current fuel prices is the latest review by the Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority, where introduced a major fuel price increase. Current pump prices, Nairobi estimates where petrol is about 214.25 per litre and diesel is retailing at about 242.92 per litre. Kerosene largely unchanged, and diesel is experienced the highest increase. And what the government has already done to cushion Kenyans is that the government states that it has taken several measures to reduce the impact of high fuel prices, and one is petroleum development levy support, where the government has used money collected through the petroleum development levy to reduce the full impact of global price increases of partial fuel subsidies, stabilize local pump prices. Officials says without this support, petrol and diesel prices would be even higher. Now, price stabilization program is another thing where the government has attempted to control sharp monthly price fluctuations, negotiated import arrangements, used bulk fuel procurement systems, and the third way is foreign exchange management, and efforts have been made to stabilize the Kenya shilling, reduce pressure on the US dollar. What the government should do. Transport operators, economists, and citizens have proposed several possible solutions, where the possible actions include reducing fuel taxes and levies, increasing targeted subsidies, reviewing EPRA pricing formula, improving public transport systems, supporting local energy alternatives, strengthening the Kenyan shilling, reducing import costs, offering temporary relief to transport operators. What fuel levies do is that fuel levies are extra charges added to petrol and diesel prices to fund different government programs. Main fuel levies in Kenya include road maintenance levy, and this is used for repairing roads, maintaining highways, supporting road infrastructure projects managed through road authorities. And the other one is the petroleum development levy, and this is used for stabilizing fuel prices, supporting fuel subsidies, reducing sharp prices increases. This levy has been used to cushion Kenyans against global oil price shocks. Now, we're also looking at VAT, and this is value added tax, and this is used for general government revenue funding public services such as healthcare, education, security, infrastructure. And 4 is the excess duty, and this is used where a government tax on fuel consumption as source of national revenue. And we're also looking at railway development levy, and this is indirectly through imports, where this helps fund or railway and transport infrastructure development. We also have regulatory levies used to support energy regulation, finance safety and quality monitoring, support petroleum industry to oversight how high fuel prices affect ordinary Kenyans. And one of it is high fuel costs lead to higher matatu fares, higher food prices, more expensive goods, increased business costs, higher cost of living. Sectors most affected include transport, agriculture, manufacturing. We're also looking at logistics, we're looking at fishing, small businesses, possible outcome. And if the situation continues and if no agreement is reached, we are looking at more strikes may occur, looking at also transport fare may increase, further inflation may rise, food and commodity prices may continue increasing, economic pressure on households may worsen. And now, as per 17 May 2026, and I think this is a report as far as this is concerned about the demonstration that we were promised today, and it's a promise that was as far as last week, and we've seen it happen from this morning, early this morning, because we're looking at our roads are not so busy, and I think it's in effect or it's affecting a lot of people, a lot of businesses, agriculture. We're looking at also the issue of production, and we're looking at the effects of it. So that's a report we are bringing to you, and we also bring a report on the 5 billion that was used by the government to cushion Kenyans from the spikes of the high fuel prices. We are taking a very short break. We are coming back with the newspaper review, then the report about the 5 billion Kenyan shillings.
You are watching EBN TV, transforming your world.
Here unfolds the pillars, a single man platform designed to allow her heal, be encouraged, and be transformed for the kingdom of God. I'm your host, Mary Njeri Ndomo. Follow me on EBN TV every Tuesday at 8:30 p.m. Thank you.
EBN TV cares about the growth of your business. To advertise with us, call 0725 386 501 or 0740 653 453. EBN TV, transforming your world.
You are watching EBN TV, transforming your world.
Fitness, fabulous fitness. You need it, we got it. The best home workouts just for you. We keep it fun and sweaty. Join us at EBN TV and get that blood pumping. A fabulous workout for your fabulous body. Keep it fit and fab.
Are you ready for an uplifting experience? On Your Faith Today, dive deep into the life-changing message from the Word of God. Join Reverend Felix Gavoy as he shares powerful insights that will inspire, encourage, and strengthen your faith.
It is one thing to receive a prophetic word. It is another thing altogether to see that prophetic word come to pass in your life.
But that's not all. Experience special sessions of worship that will stir your soul and draw you closer to God.
Umetukuka, umeinuliwa, ewe Bwana. Waweza Mwokozi.
Prepare to be moved, uplifted, and connected with His Word as we come together in faith. Catch your faith today, every Tuesday and Thursday from 9 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. Tune in and let your spirit be renewed.
You are watching EBN TV. You are watching EBN TV, transforming your world.
Now, very good morning once again and welcome back. And I had said you just to give us a report of how things are from wherever you are. And someone is saying that Kimbo is heavily guarded, Thika Road is clear, no PSVs on board, Kiambu Road. All right. Okay, then there is also a report from Kitengela, where bonfires lit in Kitengela town, motorists are plying Namaga highway pelted with stones. So I think for your safety, because it's announced, it's a protest, it's a demonstration, and no matatus, no. I think nothing that is using petrol or diesel should be on the roads. So it's good for your safety because it's not well. When you go to Mombasa Road along around Mulolongo, it's not also good because we can see bonfires on the same. So please be careful wherever you are going. It was an advisory that you walk to work if at all you have to go to work in the midst of all this demonstration. So it's good to be safe because it's only something that is taking place in just one day. So it's good to be safe. Now, very quickly to the newspapers this morning. We've got the Kenya's board newspaper, The Standard, and the Daily Nation. And it's also, they are talking on the top pages. We're looking at the issue of the pump prices as far as the diesel and petrol is concerned. Now, it's all about head in the sand, where we're looking at a disconnect. And as public anger grows over the record fuel price spike, President William Ruto and Energy CS Opiyo Wandayi have buried their heads in the sand, hoping the matter will resolve itself. But transport operators have vowed to paralyze travel across the country today to force a response, warning that rising fuel costs, heavy taxation, and unstable pricing have made operations unsustainable. In the meantime, the president has flown out of the country while senior officials remain detached, issuing conflicting explanations and defending contested fuel import policies. And this is from page 2, 4, 5, and 7. I'll be giving a report on the same. As Kenyans struggle with soaring commodity prices, electricity bills, school fees, and unemployment, critics question why the man in charge of the country's finances appears more feasible in political rallies and ODM wars. And this is Charles Nyambuga, and is a political analyst. So from page 2, we're looking at East Africa's fuel pricing variance exposes region to global shocks, expert says. Now we are looking at a lot of cars may be congested or trying to struggle for fuel at Ruby's petrol station, and also motorists at the same place of fuel at Ruby's petrol station on Koinange Street. And this is back in 2022, and maybe we are still moving with the same struggle that we've been seeing for the longest time possible. Now, Kampala, I need to give a very small comparison of the prices across Eastern region or East African region, where Kampala has lowest petrol prices at 200 a litre, followed by Dar es Salaam at 206. Then Nairobi's price stood at 214.28, while Kigali registered the highest at 259 per litre, and this is petrol. Now, petroleum product pricing across East Africa varies significantly due to different procurement contracts and formulas, leaving regional markets unevenly exposed to international volatility, and industry analysis is revealing all this. Unlike in Kenya, Tanzania, and Rwanda, where pump prices are regulated monthly, Uganda operates under a completely deregulated system where Kampala has highest PAM prices because the prices are not fixed. It is not regulated like in the other three countries, explained oil industry expert, and this is from Peter Loch. Ochieng. Now, it is obvious why paraffin is cheaper. It has become the habit of government officials and politicians to cushion themselves. So, in whichever way, it is it's all about politics, because we're looking at no regulations that has been put in place to make sure that we have the fuel hike, because remember, it was hiked just a month ago, and this happened again from 15th, and this is something that is stretching from the 15th to 14th June, and we still wonder why that window is given, the window of 1 month. We need to know why it is put in place, maybe why the hike is put in place, what is cushioning, and why maybe we are looking at politics within the 1 month fuel hike. Now, Buddy has given some statements this morning, and he has said maybe this will be reviewed after the lapse of that 1 month. So we will have to serve all through for this 1 month. Now, the president of this country flew to another country. That was on Saturday, and is leaving this situation for Kenyans, and those people left under or are in control are still not giving any voice, and if there is any say they have to, it is contradicting to the people of this country. So maybe we are left so carelessly to wonder and to get surprised of which way we need to take as far as this commodity is concerned. Remember, if this hike is as far as fuel is concerned, it affects every sector of this country, and if from wherever you are, you can report, you can look at how roads are looking like. We have got no matatus, we've got no private vehicles. You just see a few motorists and border riders along some roads. So you can see how roads are deserted. You can see how they are lonely and no business is taking place. So look at the effect that is that we are facing as a country because of the irregular fuel hike. Now, we're looking at something that is historically high, where Uganda's pricing is based on contracts from around late January to early February. And we also looking at, that's where we had a big rally in prices, because that's when impact of war began in Iran. And I think, or even that's when we got the impact on the same as far as the Iran, Israeli, and maybe US war is concerned. But we got some relief, so maybe we don't expect this to be taking place right now. Then on the same story, we're looking at top officials bury their heads in the Sanders high fuel cost spark anger. Now, motorists are paying record high pump prices, and the cost of basic goods in climbing across the country. Now, the government's response has increasingly been criticized as inconsistent and detached, because maybe they've not agreed on which lie, maybe if I try to quote the lie, which they need to use for Kenyans. That you can see there is a lot of inconsistent and detachment as far as information, as far as the fuel hike is concerned. Now, we are looking at Federation of Public Transport Sector CEO Kushen Mushiri, then RIG Owners Association Chairman Cornelius Tepsoi, and Matatu Owners Association Chairman Albert Karakacha, with other transport sector officials addressing press in Nairobi yesterday. The announcement that transport will be paralyzed starting midnight. Now, as Kenyans struggle with soaring commodity prices, electricity bills, school fees, and unemployment, critics question why the man in charge of the country's finances appears more feasible in political rallies. Now, There is, look at now, the latest review by the Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority pushed the price of super petrol up by 16.65 per litre and diesel by 46.29, dealing another blow to households and business already strained by inflation. Now, fuel prices jumped with motorists in Nairobi now paying 214.25 per litre of super petrol and 242.92 for diesel after the price adjustment, while kerosene remained unchanged at 152.78 per litre. And now the VAT amendment signed into law by President Ruto only weeks ago had temporarily lowered petrol prices by nearly 9 shillings and diesel by about 10 shillings, with the government presenting it as evidence that it was responding to public pressure over the high cost of living. But the relief that we saw was short-lived. The sharp increase in fuel prices has triggered immediate fare hikes across the country, with matatu operators in major towns including Nairobi, Kisumu, Kakamega and Mombasa adjusting transport charges upwards. Now, prices of essential commodities including maize, flour, cooking oil, sugar and vegetables have also risen as transport and product costs continue to escalate. So I said, if this is done, it's an effect to it's a multi-sectoral effect, which is so negative. Now, fuel price hike pushes up cost of basic goods, and this is also a continuation of the same story, where traders say the cost of transporting commodities has been a major problem. Some said they have already increased prices and reduced the portion to remain in business. And you can see a trader at Jubilee Market in Kisumu, and traders say the high cost of transport has forced them to hike prices of basic commodities. Then also on the same thing, we're looking at yes, this is about politics, but we're also looking at page 7 of about the same story. Hiking fuel prices sparks fear of countrywide transport shutdown. And remember, what is pictured here is vehicles in a traffic jam on Mombasa Road, April 2026, and this is on 8th. And then transporters warned that no vehicles will be on the roads until the government acts, where they called for intervention as current economic conditions are not sustainable. Then transport across the country, they said, to grind a halt after matatu operators, truckers, ride-hailing drivers and private vehicle owners announced a nationwide suspension of services, citing soaring fuel prices and worsening economic climate. In a joint statement, the operators, including Matatu Owners Association, Truckers Association and Rig Owners Association, the cost of doing business has become unsustainable due to high fuel cost, heavy taxation and rising operational expenses. Now, they warn that no vehicles would be on the road starting midnight until the government takes decisive action to lower fuel prices and review punitive levies. This comes days after the Matatu Owners Association directed its members to increase fare prices by 50%. So if you've been paying maybe 80 shillings, 50% of that is we just need to say it halfway, so you have to add 40 shillings on the same. This will be 120 shillings. Now, someone is reporting that they were using 100 shillings, I think, from Nairobi CBD to Kasarani. Now the fare is up to 150. So you can see the pain that we are putting on maybe every sector, and maybe to small scale business owners or operators. Now we're looking at paying for passengers with a 50% fare increase. The Matatu Owners Association directed its members to immediately effect hike after the government reviewed retail fuel prices that saw the price of diesel go up by 46.29 shillings, and while petrol went up by 16.65%. Now, there is a story I had left, and this is a story It's a personal story that you need to read for yourself from page 3. And she fled trauma, now forced to save children living it. And after entering family trauma in conflict-torn Liberia, Mercy Ine left for the U.S. in search of safety. Today, she has returned to Africa, determined to restore dignity, mental well-being, and opportunity to vulnerable children. Now, we're looking at a reform. Again, that's a different story. 12,000 SACCOs face aches over missing returns. Read that story for yourself. Then in Mombasa, DC accused of shielding cartel that defrauded trader 10 million. Now, the Directorate of Criminal Investigations is facing criticism over delays in arresting 8 suspects accused of defrauding a Mombasa businessman of 10.5 million shillings, despite prosecution approvals issued months ago. Now, among those named is a senior procurement officer at the Kenyan Marine and Fisheries Research Institute. Then prosecutor recommended arrest on March 9th, 2026 after investigations linked the suspects of an alleged scheme targeting businessman Dennis Monari. Read the story for yourself now. Then page 4 of the Standard newspaper officials. No, that's a story we also did. It's about from page 6. And it's a national story where KANU National Chairman Gideon Moi, during a service at African Inland Church ICL Damaravin in Baringo County yesterday. Now, there is a story, I think it's a kind of an expose here from KANU Chairman Gideon Moi. I will tell you the truth about Ruto deal, and this is from the same KANU Chairman Gideon Moi. And he has been under pressure from the community to say if the president duped him, then these tensions have been accelerated by statements from some MPs. Now, the issues are weighty and touch on you, the people. I will, however, find a forum to speak to the people and inform you about everything. And this is from Gideon Moi, is the chairman of the KANU party. Now, we're looking at also environment, where everyone should plant 300 trees annually. Now, the biggest question is, if you don't have a space to plant these trees, what will happen? Maybe the government needs to give us spaces where, if you're interested in involving yourself in such an exercise, maybe there is a place where you need to plant the 300 trees, and this is an annual exercise. Now, we're also looking at health, where state sets out response measures following Ebola outbreak in Uganda. Now, the Minister of Health says no case of Ebola virus has been detected within the country yet. Now, the government has, however, directed all county governments to be on the lookout by activating and enhancing preparedness and response measures. In a statement released yesterday, Principal Secretary in the State Department of Public Health and Professional Standards, Mary Muthoni, said the government is committed to safeguard health and safety of all Kenyans. And that story from page 6 and 7 we had covered. Then that's from page 8. Jubaland forces were stayed quiet as locals threaten to take up arms. Then Jubaland fighters have set up base at Omarjilo village in Mandera East. Then Interior CS Kipchumba Murkomen dismissed the reports of the presence of soldiers. Now, we're also looking at the residents of Mandera Town demonstrate on May 12th, 2026 to demand the expulsion of Jubaland troops from Omarjilo village. Now, the government has trained silence or has maintained silence over the presence of Jubaland soldiers who are operating inside Kenya's territory as locals bear the brunt of their actions. Almost a week after residents in Mandera demonstrated demanding the removal of foreign military, the local security team, national government remained non-committal over the presence of the Somali fighters blamed for deteriorating security in the country. Now, we're also looking at if efforts to get comment from local security chiefs and Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen were not successful, and that's how desperate we are as a country. And when the bosses responsible for any docket just keep silent. That's how we become helpless. Now in Kakamega, Safula fires back at Oparanya as Ruto's Western Kenya support claims. And in Marsabit, Borana, leaders call for the release of 2 arrested elders. And this is a story you need to read from page 8. Then page 9, counties to split 500 million industrial park bill, where several CAIPs sites have stalled entirely or are drastically behind schedule. Now, national government is giving 250 million to each of the 47 devolved units for the project. Then we look at the county aggregation and industrial park in Kirinyaga. And that's a story you need to read more as far as the sharing of the counties sharing the 500 million industrial park bill, and you can read it for yourself from page 9. Then page 10, no closure for genocide victims as Kabuga dies before trial ends, and Kabuga's death before conclusion of his trial depends anguish among Rwanda genocide victims. Then it raises painful questions about delayed justice and whether victims' families will ever achieve full closure. We can see Velishen Kabuga, and during the period when Kabuga was a fugitive, the ICTR prosecution froze the applicant's bank accounts and assets. The applicants challenged the freezing of the assets in courts of France, Belgium, and Kenya. Now, that's from Felicien Kabuga, and it's all about the story of the massacre in Uganda. You can read it for yourself. Then education matters. Teachers praise Presidential Awards for supporting CBE goals, where the Presidential Awards Kenya has been hailed by teachers as a strong pillar supporting competency-based education. Nancy Matere, she is the program's national leader and a teacher, said the award scheme promotes holistic education and is closely aligned with CBE objectives, which aim to nurture learners physically, mentally, socially, and emotionally. And page 11, victims, survivors of South Sea building still waiting for justice. Now, the building is linked to Kenneth Nyachai, son of powerful late politician Simon Nyachai. He collapsed on January 2nd, killing Ali Adan Galgalo and another watchman. Now, we can also see pictured the collapsed building in Nairobi South Sea Estate. Then we're looking at irregularities where 16 floors, 8 of the building which collapsed in South Sea, Nairobi on January 2nd, 2026. The approval was for 12 floors. So why the extra 12, the extra 4, and it becomes a risk to the residents of the same unit. Now, in Nairobi, we are looking at Ladwa slams Gachagua over summit remarks. Then read it for yourself. Then in Lamu, Kenya, Somali elders in cross-border peace initiative. Then we're looking at the economy of this country and the fuel crisis, where Wandai defends G2G arrangement, and we're looking at a lot of jokes in this country when it comes to the issue of the G2G arrangement, because in a great way and a big number of Kenyans actually don't understand what the G2G arrangement or agreement meant. Now, Energy Cabinet Secretary Opiyo Wandayi has defended the government or the government's fuel pricing model and the government-to-government fuel importation despite the high prices. Now, the CS accused of opposition leaders of misinformation and misleading Kenyans over the fuel prices. Matatu operators have announced a nationwide strike to protest against the high cost of fuel, which is something that is taking place right now in our country. Then speaking during the commissioning of an electrification project in Esikulu and Mgango villages in Luanda and Amisi constituencies in Vihiga County, Wandayi accused former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua of misleading Kenyans with false claims about the cost of petroleum products in the country. And what you're rejecting is the true thing, because there is a time you mentioned, and this may be to CS for energy and petroleum. This is the Energy Cabinet Secretary Opiyo Wandayi. He promised Kenyans, even without in the midst of the war that we saw affecting the importation of this product to our country, from Iran to Israel and to US. There was a promise that he made about the sufficiency of these petroleum products in this country. But we are seeing Strait of Hormuz was partially opening for some trailers from the same, and for some suppliers from the oil tankers. And it came to a time when it was also fully opened. We are looking at the effects also. They are not still over. But after they've subsided, why do we also see the fuel prices still high? So we need to question all this. So it becomes very pathetic for a leader and maybe for a CS in this matter. If you're questioned, you try to make corners, to make rounds, unless you just come to and tell us the truth of the matter. So we need to know what's exactly happening, because we had a hike just last month, and we saw the same thing happening right away this month. So this is very wrong, and we need to look at the effects of the demonstrations that are taking place as everything is stalling. What is the benefit of all this? What is the advantage of this happening in this country while we're looking at the effects of the same after we go to strike? Now, read that story more from page 11 as far as the G2G arrangement is concerned. Now, we're also looking at the caricature, and there's a standard opinion before we go to that. The Taiwan question is the most important issues in China-US relations. If mishandled, the two nations could collide or even come into conflict. And this is Xi Jinping, and this is Chinese president. Then we're looking at caricature, and we are looking at this. I think caricature is all about the president or the Africa Forward Summit that we hosted over last week in our country, and it was hosted by the incumbent. Now, we're looking at West Africa countries, and then we are looking, there is someone here, and if you just get the copy of the standard, you see who I'm talking about, and he's trying to salivate for something, and he's saying that we've got France. And when you see the countries in West Africa, you'll see they are trying to make themselves so apart from what is happening as far as the Africa Forward Summit is concerned. You can see they are trying to distance themselves from France, but someone is saying that we got France. Then someone is trying to maybe do a winking, and this is to mean that they are trying to eye East Africa. So what comes in? We also mentioned about the issue of new colonialism. We also mentioned that some people from France trying to survey markets in East Africa. What do we bring for ourselves, and what comes in as far as the pact is concerned, as far as the Africa Forward Summit is concerned, is what is represented in the caricature this morning. Now, yes, actually what I had mentioned, it's also indicated here in the 12th page of the Standard newspaper about the neocolonialism and partnership of equals. It's a question. Macron has no Africa's interest at heart. So you need to read that story very carefully and so deeply to understand what I'm talking all about. Because I said we're looking at some countries trying to distance themselves from France, and someone is trying to salivate for something and is saying that we've got France. And this is all about neocolonialism. Then someone is eyeing East Africa. Now, we're looking at the editorial where don't force parents to pay fees through e-citizen. And there is a question that is very sensitive and a concern that was raised some few days ago about there's someone who supplies maize or farm produce to schools as fees, and there's someone who maybe supplies firewood to school and other maybe products. There's an agreement that they set with the school management. Now, if you're forcing all these parents to pay through e-citizen, someone supplying wood, someone supplying food, farm produce, war, how will they pay? Or will you give them cash so that they go and deposit? What will happen? Please tell us or let us know how this will take place. Now, that's from page 13. Matatu owners justified to increase fares, and this is a collection of stories from the 13th page. So if you're interested in any story, please read from there. Then skills should be at the heart of Africa's future partnerships, and this is all a continuation of the Africa Forward Summit that happened last week. Now, infrastructure and capital are important, but without parallel investment in human capital, they risk reinforcing dependency rather than enabling transformation. Then Reader's Corner, a collection of stories from page 15. Now, when sons begin borrowing mirrors from their sisters, okay, that's an interesting story from page 16. Then the next page is all about your health. I think we are ending there as far as the Standard newspaper is concerned. Very quickly to the Daily Nation, and we are looking at some sanctions here from US, and Kenya is risking a lot, where we're looking at blood money. Bill says some African government officials are profiteering from Kremlin-linked recruitment schemes. Now, Kenya risks US sanctions over Russian war, and I'll be giving you some of the sanctions that we are risking. And sponsors of the Countering Russia's Forced Recruitment and Kidnapping in Africa Act, where Joe Wilson, the Republican representative of South Carolina, is also a senior member of the House Committee on Foreign Affairs and is a subcommittee on Europe. Then we're looking at also Jonathan Jackson, the Democrat representative of Illinois, is also a member of the House Committee on Foreign Affairs subcommittee on Africa. Now, machineries where two U.S. lawmakers have introduced bipartisan legislation seeking sanctions against foreigners and governments accused of facilitating the recruitment of Africans to fight for Russia in countries in its war with Ukraine, citing Ukrainian intelligence. The bill says at least 1,400 citizens from 36 African countries, including Kenya, are fighting alongside Russian forces. And there's a story from page 4 and 5 giving you details in a few. Then the sanctions that we are risking from US are we're looking at visa ban, where revoking U.S. visas issued to sanctioned persons to allow deportations and denying entry into the U.S. by targeted individuals. Then blocking of property, where president to prohibit all transactions involving a sanctioned foreigner's property and interest in assets in U.S. or control of an American. Now, we're also looking at the third sanction, where trade blockade, where president to direct export import bank US to freeze credit and insurance to block export of goods or services to sanctioned individuals or foreign government. Then the fourth one, American loans freeze, where US president to prohibit any US financial institution from extending loans or credit to a blacklisted foreigner or foreign government totaling to $10 US million in any 12-month period. Then economic blockade, where president to direct the US executive directors to all internal financial institutions to oppose loans that would benefit a sanctions foreigner or foreign government. Then the last sanction, procurement ban, where U.S. government prohibited from procuring or signing contracts for procurement of goods and services from a blacklisted foreign government or person. Then the stories from page 4 and 5, where Kenya is risking, and it's all about Congress, where Washington targets individuals, networks, and governments, and Kenya is risking U.S. sanctions for Russia war recruits. Now, bring our son back. A child deserves his family. A family deserves to be whole again. This pain is unbearable, and this is a story you need to read deeper. It's all about the fight and the recruitment in Russia-Ukraine war. Then I think searching from page 4 and 5, it's all the same. Then the bill countering Russia's forced recruitment and kidnapping in Africa, Act 6, to impose stiffer sanctions, but must be passed by the U.S. House and Senate in identical form, then be signed by the American president to become law. It calls for several sanctions, including blocking property of identified individuals or entities, prohibiting financial assistance, and ensuring U.S. contracts do not involve parties to the recruitment. So that's from page 4 and 5. And then page 2, we're looking at the fuel protest, where a protest over high fuel prices set to disrupt public transport, where operators of public service vehicles have called a strike today and demanding government action after record fuel high price hikes announced last Thursday pushed the cost of a litre of diesel up by 46 shillings, and this from page 2. Then a different story, high scholar, and this is Somba Senior School that embraced national recognition. Then in matters education, lecturers, varsity staff to receive long-awaited 3.9 billion shillings salary arrears, where university lecturers and non-teaching staff will receive salary arrears arising from 2017 to 2021 collective bargaining agreement, according to supplementary budget documents signed by President William Ruto, and this is from page 6. Then while allocations to ASLA fund seized, budget estimates tabled in Parliament show there is no allocation for the flagship program in the next financial year, with officials saying it will instead be funded through loan repayments. This from page 17. Then in politics, Raila Jr. joins Winnie in taking on Badi, and son of Raila Odinga, who died last year, October, vows to defend his family, vows to, against unwarranted attacks, and urges warring ODM factions to reconcile. And then page 2. It's all about the protest where President allies jump to his defense, blame U.S.-Israeli war on Iran for the skyrocketing prices. Then, now, the biggest question we need to ask ourselves, and maybe ask the president and all the stakeholders, is very simple. Then why should it be hiked 2 months consecutively? Why is that they don't sit down with all stakeholders to plan the amount they'll hike the product with? Then from there they could have agreed without them confusing us and being trying to hike the product 2 months consecutively. So petroleum products users criticize state for steep increase of fuel prices, which are adding already overburden Kenyans. And if you have any issues concerning this docket, you should face me. This obsession with President Ruto is sickening. You can't, as a man, continue to cling to the name of a fellow man day in, day out. And this is from CS Opio Wandai. All right, why? The defense. Now, page 3, investigations where DCI detective Basul leads to phone spoofing, fake police signals, and possible abduction. Missing man linked to fraud syndicate, and this is missing 34-year-old Fortune Muthina Kinyanzui. DCI detectives have linked him to a sophisticated fraud syndicate. Read that story for yourself from page 3. Then quickly to page 4, we had done that, and page 5 of the Daily Nation. Then it's a sigh of relief. President Ruto signed supplementary budget documents that unlocked billions for the education sector. Where it's true, we are expecting money to aid the accounts of our members. This notice is made to prepare members for payment now. Joy has facility staff to receive much awaited salary arrears, and the story I had given to you. Then from page 7, it's all about politics, where section of Nairobi ODM leaders continue the push for electoral zoning in 2027 polls. Now, Raila Jr. to Badi, stop disrespecting my family. And National Treasury Cabinet Secretary Johnny Badi during an ODM consultative forum in Kisumu yesterday. You can read the issue of disrespect as far as body to Raila's family is concerned. Then according to him, the growing negativity directed at the family by certain leaders is disrespectful to a man who greatly shaped the country's politics and groomed some of the leaders who are now disparaging his name. So a different story on the same page. Kindiki now wants appeals court Kindiki now want appeals court to strike out doctor's evidence. Okay, this is very wrong. Then page 8, we're looking at a challenge where inconsistencies have seen some individuals denied passports. The new system to curb birth certificates fraud, and this is from PS. Then from left, we're looking at it's all a fund for charity in Mombasa, where we're looking at patron of Ushiriki Wema Tesi Musalia, Mejuma Baruch and Wema Senda trustee Lucy Yinda take a selfie during the 2026 Wemathon Fun Day organized by Wema Senda in Mombasa on Saturday. Then we're looking at an inaugural tax symposium, and this is from page 9. You can see the members informed, so read for yourself. Where we're looking at citizens, we're looking at policy think tanks, we're looking at private sector, we're looking at civil society, and we're looking at the executive. And here we're looking at the keynote speaker being George Obel, and we have other speakers following suit after George Obel. So read for yourself from the same page. Then summit was opportunity to reimagine a safe Nairobi. This is from page 10. Then Kenya's pulse and illusion of a wise decision. And then politicians understand this reality well. So this is all about politics, and the summit all about opportunity to reimagine a safe Nairobi, and politics at the same. Then shunning facilities are rising education crisis. And then we're looking at also games where ensure rugby success. Then from the same page, we're looking at caricature where you took my job and income, pay my taxes too. All right, so this is AI, and we're looking at how AI will be or is replacing a lot of jobs, and replacing a lot of people in different duties and different works. And maybe we are looking at the very risky effects of the same. Now, someone who maybe his job was replaced by AI is pushing a gadget, an AI gadget to the Kenya Revenue Authority, and is telling them, because you took my job, please pay the taxes. So what will happen for citizens if maybe a lot of works are replaced by AI? And where will the taxes be coming from? Because maybe a robot working in a hotel as a cashier, as a waitress, as a waiter. This is to mean what you need to do for the robot is just trying to fix it, trying to manage it, trying to repair it. If maybe it becomes faulty, it is not it, but how will it pay the taxes? So we're looking at it's a paradox, and we'll still understand the effects of the same. So robots prompted by AI need to pay Kenya Revenue Authority their taxes. All right, where opposition should break up, and there's a story you need to read for yourself. And when everybody is inside the tent, voters struggle to understand what exactly is being contested. That's why we need to ask ourselves one question: why opposition should break up. Now, we're looking at a cluster or mixture of stories from page 12, but the biggest story today in history, letter of the day, seal gaps behind persistent school unrests. That's a story, but today in history, May 18, 2024, more than 1 million files that had been missing or misplaced at the Lands Registry have been recovered in the 2-week reorganization and audit at Aldi House in Nairobi. Lands Cabinet Secretary Charity Ngilu says the minister said that he would said that the registries would be opened on Monday, May 19, 2014. Here is Ms. Ngilu, Principal Secretary Mariamu Elway left, and other ministry officials then briefing the media. And this is today in history. May 18th, 2014. This is May 18th, 2026. Road business again on page 13. Then in county news, Tana River latest Met Department report warns of possible flooding between May 12th and 18th, which is today. So our upstream rains trump families in displacement. Then a couple of stories again from page 15, 16. We are going international a bit, where outbreak disease in DR Congo's eastern Ituri province has been or has seen around 246 cases and 80 deaths. Then a report from WHO, where Ebola outbreak in DRC is global health emergency. Then a man is carried from an ambulance as he arrives at Bunia General Referral Hospital following confirmation of an Ebola outbreak involving the Bundibugyo strain in Bunia, Ituri Province, Democratic Republic of Congo on May 16. Then UN urges dialogue after Somalia election talks failed to reach deal. Then business, we allocate credit in the financial year ended June 2025. Alone, Kenya's borrowed 17.9 billion in from the fund. Then ASLA fund now loses budget support as Ruto shifts to Nyota. Then we are looking at President William Ruto during first anniversary celebration, the ASLA fund in Nairobi. Then we're looking at contrasting budget paths, where it's all about ASLA fund and the 50 billion Kenyan shillings amount that President Ruto pledged to inject into the program when he assumed office. 300 million has been allocated in the current financial year, ending in June. Then we're looking at telecom, where Safaricom license costs rise 1.7 billion on extension. And I think from page 17 is where we end the newspaper review. Thank you for watching this segment. We are coming short. I want to explain you about the issue of the 55 billion shillings that the government put in place to make sure that you are cushioned from the high fuel prices. We want to see how it worked, how it is working, and if it is working. So stick around, coming shortly.
You are watching